Picture this. It's March 23rd, 1965. America is in the thick of the space race, and the Gemini 3 mission is about to make history. It's the nation's first two-man spaceflight, a critical step on the path to the moon. Inside the tiny capsule, two of America's finest astronauts, Commander Gus Grissom and pilot John Young, are strapped in, ready to push the boundaries of human exploration. The world is watching. The pressure is immense. Millions of dollars, years of research, and national pride are all riding on this single mission. The countdown hits 0. The rocket ignites, and with a thunderous roar, Gemini 3 blasts off from Cape Kennedy, Florida, catapulting Grissom and Young into the history books. For the next few hours, everything goes according to plan. They orbit the Earth at over 17,000 miles per hour, testing new maneuvering systems and conducting scientific experiments. Mission control in Houston is a sea of calm professionalism. Checklists are followed, data is analyzed, and the astronauts' vital signs are perfect. This is NASA at its absolute best. But what nobody on the ground knows is that John Young is hiding a secret. A delicious, rye bread encased, 6-ounce secret that he smuggled past layers of NASA security, doctors, and engineers. And he's about to unleash it in the most expensive, technologically advanced vehicle ever built. The sandwich was about to make its debut. The story of this legendary piece of contraband begins 2 days before launch, not in a high-tech lab, but in a humble deli in Cocoa Beach, Florida. It was a place called Wolfie's Restaurant and Sandwich Shop. While most astronauts were sticking to their strict, low-residue pre-flight diets, John Young had other plans. He walked into Wolfie's and ordered his favorite, a corned beef on rye. Now, smuggling anything onto a spacecraft is a huge no-no. Every single item is weighed, cataloged, and sanitized. Unapproved items can interfere with sensitive equipment, or worse, put the astronauts' lives at risk. But Young, known for his dry wit and slightly rebellious streak, decided the official NASA-approved space food just wouldn't cut it. He needed a taste of home, even in orbit. So, he tucked the sandwich into the pocket of his spacesuit. Think about that for a second. He walked past countless technicians and safety officers, with a corned beef sandwich just chilling in his pocket. Fellow astronaut Wally Schirra was reportedly in on the prank and might have even helped procure it. It was a small act of defiance, a little joke between pilots. They probably thought it would be a funny story to tell back on Earth. They had no idea it was about to become an official incident, scrutinized by the highest levels of government. The sandwich had successfully infiltrated the space program. Its destination, low Earth orbit. Back inside the Gemini 3 capsule, a few hours into the mission, the astronauts are scheduled for their official mealtime. On the menu was a selection of rehydratable food packs and bite-sized cubes, nutritious, sterile, and utterly unappetizing. Gus Grissom was trying to squeeze some applesauce out of a plastic tube. As he's struggling with the space-age cuisine, John Young decides it's time. With a mischievous grin, he casually says, "You care for a sandwich, Gus?" He reaches into his pocket and pulls out the corned beef on rye. Grissom, a no-nonsense veteran of the Mercury program, is stunned, then amused. He asks, "Where did that come from?" Young just smirks. Grissom, always up for a little fun, can't resist. He takes a bite, and that's when the chaos begins. In the zero-gravity environment of the capsule, the rye bread immediately starts to crumble. Tiny weightless crumbs begin to float everywhere. Now, you might be thinking, what's the big deal? It's just a few crumbs. But inside a multi-million-dollar spacecraft, floating crumbs are a serious hazard. They could get into the sensitive electronics, short-circuiting a vital system. They could be inhaled by the astronauts, causing a choking hazard. They could get into the air filtration system, or behind instrument panels, creating unforeseen problems. On the open communication line to Mission Control, you can hear the exchange. Grissom remarks, "It's breaking up. I'm going to stick it in my pocket." Young replies, "It was a thought, anyway. Not a very good one." Grissom adds, Pretty good, though. If it would just hold together. They quickly stashed the offending sandwich away, but the damage was done. The cabin was now filled with tiny, floating bread particles. Down in Houston, the flight controllers listening in are in a state of shock. Did they just hear what they thought they heard? A sandwich? In space? The mood in mission control went from calm and collected to baffled and furious in a matter of seconds. When Gemini 3 splashed down safely in the Atlantic Ocean, Grissom and Young were heroes. They had successfully completed their mission, proving that humans could maneuver a spacecraft in orbit. But behind the scenes, NASA officials were not celebrating. They were apoplectic. The sandwich incident, as it came to be known, was seen as a serious breach of protocol. It was unprofessional, reckless, and it made NASA look foolish. The agency had spent years and billions of dollars developing specialized space food designed to be safe and crumb-free, only to be upstaged by a deli sandwich. The fallout was immediate and severe. Politicians were outraged. Some congressmen saw it as a sign that the astronauts were untaking their incredibly expensive and dangerous job seriously. They accused NASA of wasting taxpayer money and demanded an investigation. The House Appropriations Committee convened a special hearing to get to the bottom of it all. NASA administrators were grilled. How could this happen? Who was responsible? What were they going to do to make sure it never, ever happened again? It sounds like a comedy sketch, but this was deadly serious business in 1965. The reputation of the entire space program was on the line. In response, NASA launched a full-scale internal investigation. They produced a formal, 6-page report with the deadpan title, The Sandwich Incident. The report detailed every aspect of the contraband affair, from its purchase at Wolfie's Deli to the moment Crumbs filled the cockpit. It concluded that while the sandwich posed a minimal actual risk on this particular flight, it set a terrible precedent. The report led to a complete overhaul of pre-flight procedures. From that day forward, every single thing an astronaut carried aboard a spacecraft was The era of casual space pranks was officially over. John Young and Gus Grissom got a stern talking to, but thankfully, their careers weren't completely derailed. Gus Grissom, tragically, would lose his life 2 years later in the Apollo 1 fire. His legacy is that of a brave pioneer who gave everything for the space program, and John Young, well, his career was far from over. Despite the sandwich scandal, his skills as a pilot and astronaut were undeniable. He went on to become one of the most accomplished figures in NASA history. He flew on Gemini 10, then commanded the Apollo 10 mission, which was the dress rehearsal for the first moon landing, and in 1972, as commander of Apollo 16, John Young finally got to walk on the moon. He spent 3 days on the lunar surface, driving the lunar rover and conducting experiments. He became the 9th person to walk on the moon. Years later, Young also commanded the very first space shuttle mission, STS-21, in 1981, another incredibly risky and historic flight. He flew a total of 6 space missions, a record he held for years. Through it all, he maintained his legendary cool and dry sense of humor. But you know what he never did? He never once apologized for the sandwich. In his autobiography, he wrote about the incident with a tone of mild amusement, basically shrugging it off as a harmless prank that got blown way out of proportion. In his mind, it was just a guy sharing a sandwich with his buddy. A very expensive, high-stakes sandwich, but a sandwich nonetheless. And what became of the legendary corned beef sandwich itself? Well, after Grissom took a bite and quickly stashed it, it remained in his pocket for the rest of the mission. Upon their return, it was confiscated as evidence for the investigation. But its story doesn't end there. After the furor died down, someone had the brilliant idea to preserve it. The uneaten portion of the sandwich was encased in a block of clear acrylic resin. And where is this historical artifact today? It's on display at the Grissom Memorial Museum in Mitchell, Indiana. That's right, you can go to a museum and see the actual, half-eaten illegal space sandwich. It sits there as a permanent, hilarious tribute to one of the weirdest and most human moments in the history of space exploration. So, there you have it, the incredible, 100% true story of the Great Corned Beef Rebellion of 1965. It's a tale of friendship, minor defiance, and the bureaucratic panic that follows when a little bit of earthly chaos gets smuggled into the sterile world of space travel. It reminds us that even our greatest heroes, the people who touch the stars, are still human. They get hungry, they like a good joke, and sometimes, they just really, really want a sandwich. It's a moment that proves that even in the grand, serious narrative of history, there's always room for a little bit of absurdity. Thanks for watching this unbelievable true story. If you got a laugh out of this cosmic chaos, do us a favor and hit that like button. Subscribe to the channel, and ring that notification bell so you don't miss our next dive into history's most fascinating moments. We're a growing community, and we'd love for you to be a part of it. Let us know in the comments what you think. Drop a sandwich emoji, or just tell us your favorite part of this crazy story. We'll see you next week.